Hi, this is a training movie for Cumulus 9 using RoboFlow 9. Today I'm going to show you a workflow that updates a record with a new file or new version of a file coming in. Imagine that you have a catalog containing PDFs, and now one of these PDFs has been updated. So a customer, a user, delivers a file in a drop folder, and when that file is processed, it is looking for that file, searching for that file in the catalog, and then giving it a new name and updating the record, while it keeps the original file in the same location. Let me show you how that works. First of all, you start a new workflow and choose the template Hotfolder, which is a new style kind of workflow where you can have your own action scripts, only available in Cumulus 9. In your parameters, you set up a drop folder, a folder where you will drop your files somewhere, and then we create an action script. This action script will be executed, as it says here in the title, for files, so for any file dropped into that drop folder. The very first instruction is open catalog, so I selected my sample catalog and I opened I selected that catalog and gave it a name. Then I want to search for this record. I want to search for that particular file that just came in. Every file in a Hotfolder workflow that is presented to the workflow for processing is called hot. So if we look in this, we see that we select the catalog. If you have selection fields, never type in a value. You always have to see the selectable item in there. Otherwise, you did not store your information correctly. You may have forgotten to open the catalog or create the folder and whatever. You need to select somewhere. If you have something that is called variable of or tag of, that always means it needs to be a stored value, something that you prepared or that was offered to you prior to this instruction. In this second part, I'm doing a Cumulus record query. In this variable, you can see a Cumulus record query. You can construct these queries and test these queries in the Cumulus client under the advanced window. The advanced window might add a very strange long number, something like this, which we call the GUID. You can keep the GUID there, or you can remove the GUID. That doesn't matter, but this is, let's say, a little bit easier to read. Then we are looking for the file with the exact same file name, or we're looking for the file starts with. So in this example, we're just gonna put starts with, because we're getting a file called, for instance, database.pdf, and we're looking for a file called database.pdf. Or if that file already existed and was updated, we will have to modify our query that he also searches for a part of the file name without extension. So that would be something like this. We would say, or you will understand in a minute why I'm adding this second part. If the file was updated, the updated file will be called the same name, but with a date timestamp and a number behind it. So just to be sure that we find that file too, we say record file name without extension. Remember that if you have placeholders, if you use scripting language in this version, that the scripting language of Cumulus 9 always is used with a hash mark in front of it and not with the traditional dollar that you're used to in Cumulus 8. Cumulus only use the dollar in front of your placeholders if your instruction is inside the parameters and the other script, the start script here, not in the action script. In the action script you always use this. If you have multiple tags in one line, it's always smart to have a start and a beginning and an end tag. It's not mandatory, but it can avoid errors or confusion by the workflow. So we want to look for the file name that starts with a file name without extension, and you could even say I add here an underscore. You will see in the renaming that it will have an underscore after the name. Then we give this a name. So this result, if you don't know what the output variable is, the result from this is, well, if you do a mouse over and it tells you the tag under which the number of records found will be stored for later use. So you see that in the naming you should not use special characters. You are allowed to use a dot, a dash, all the digits, but don't put slashes or special characters in the output variables. It might confuse the workflow. When you have performed a search, you have to process the records. So there's an instruction for that called process records in collection. It's an action script that allows you to loop through all the records that were found. So in this case that should be 1. You could test up front on it, like we have a test here to test if the result was 0, because if the result was 0 we will want to copy away the file. If we didn't find it, we will want to put the file in another location and either catalog it or don't do anything with it. But so this is an example where you could test. If you want to be 100% sure that you have an exact match, you could put in front of this instruction first a test to test if this was equals to 1, if you found 1 result. In this case, we're keeping it simple. We are assuming that our naming convention in the catalog is correct. So what we are going to do is we are going to process the records. Notice that this kind of instruction, also like the conditional instructions, have this special triangle underneath before. That means that there are instructions that are performed only if this if test, for instance, is returning true, or in this case only if there are records to process. Otherwise it just goes to the next instruction at that same level. So for every record found we are going to store the path. If I click here, you can see that you can ask for a record field. Actually this is the asset reference, and you can type it like this or whatever. There is a little extra feature here that we could have not used, but I could first have had an instruction that says store the field value of the field asset reference, which returns the path to the file. Then I could have said from this text create a folder, a file object, and then from that file object I could have said give me the folder of this file. This by using this placeholder trick, it is a little bit faster. Create folder if it doesn't exist. So this will return store a folder. It will say tag under which the folder path will be stored. So if it doesn't exist, it will create it. So that's what this instruction does. And the next instruction is I copy, it's a copy move file, so I copy a file. Which file? As I said before, never type in anything that is drop downs, just don't start typing in valuables. They should be selectable because that means that these objects are available in your workflow. So what do I want to do? The hot file, the current file that is presented to the workflow, I want to copy that. Where do I want to copy that to? I want to copy that to the target folder. Again, something I can select. And then the target file name, I could have parsed this with several separate instructions, but I'm taking advantage of the inline scripting here. I'm getting the file name without extension, then I add an underscore. Remember that in the query I added that underscore to search for because I know that that underscore is definitely there. I add a counter, so there will be an automatic counter of 3 digits, so a maximum of 1,000 files coming in. And then I'm adding also the date of when this file came in with a date format, month, day, year. And finally, at the end, I'm adding the file extension of the hot file. So this is a little bit cryptic, but this has been the scripting language that has been inside Cumulus, inside RoboFlow for many years. Notice that we are using the hash mark and not the $sign to identify the instruction, and notice that since there are multiple tags, multiple placeholders in this instruction, I use the start and stop. I repeat the instruction in the beginning and at the end. The type of action that I chose was copy file, and I called it copied file. So again, if you do on mouse over, it tells you this is the tag under which the copied or moved file will be stored for later use. This will be the tag that shows up in the next instruction. So if I look now in that next instruction, this next instruction is update asset reference. Sorry, update asset reference is and this instruction is even wrong. Cut. You see, if you find a mistake, you can just leave it, cut it out. The instruction is not update asset reference because you need to set the asset reference. And to what do you want to set the asset reference? To a tag. And what is the tag? Well, the tag is hot. Why is this tag hot? Because here, when we said we're going to loop through all the records found in this query, we said that we are going to call this output variable hot. That's why that file is called hot. Don't worry that this is called hot and that the hot file is also called hot, because behind the scenes this is not called hot, but this is called hot record because it's a record and the file is actually called hot file. If I have a look here, the target of the record, and that is hot. If should I change this to, let's say, record found, then if I open this instruction here, edit, it would be called record found. As you saw, there was still hot there because it was typed in. It keeps the original value. It will not go and search all the tags in any place in your workflow. It's up to you to make sure that that is valid. Then what file do we want to process? Well, the copied file, the file that is now stored in the same location where the original file was that it found. And then you have to specify the asset handling set and permission template. If you're using a workgroup, Cumulus workgroup edition, the permission template might be empty because if you're not using roles and permissions, there are no permission templates. Now that the asset reference is updated, it could be a good thing to update the record so that it can load all the information that is stored inside this new version of this file. And that concludes all instructions underneath these individual processing of the record. If we have a look now, we have a conditional test here. I'm testing a text and I'm saying test the records found variable. The records found variable says text equals what kind of test do I want to do, and I want to test if the result was 0. And I'm storing the result, the true or false result, in no records found variable. That means if this is true, if no records were found, then I'm creating, storing a new path. I just selected the param folder of this workflow, and I created a folder called file not found, and then I'm saying create this folder if it doesn't exist, and otherwise it will just store the object. So tag name under which the folder from this path will be stored. And then I copy this particular hot file. Which file do I want? It's the hot file, and it's the current file that is offered to the workflow. I want to copy that, and where do I want to copy it? To that particular folder that I created that I called folder for bad files. I don't want to change the file name, and the action is a simple copy file. I don't have to do a move file because the workflow, the typical behavior of a Hotfolder workflow is that at the end it deletes the file that was dropped in that folder, so it will disappear automatically, and as a result I give the file name bad file. That's all it does with these files for which he doesn't find a record. You could, after you copied it to a location, catalog it into the Cumulus catalog as new, or you could email somebody, notify somebody, telling them that this record was not found. So you have all kinds of options. Finally, don't forget you open the catalog here, so you should close the catalog at the end. So this is an example of how you should, or you could, set up such a workflow. Thank you for joining this example. See you in the next movie. Bye.